The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
McClatchy, D.C. is reporting that the White House has been withholding for 5 years more than 9,000 top-secret documents that were sought by the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence for an investigation into the now-defunct CIA detention, interrogation, and so-called torture program, even though President Barack Obama did not exercise a claim of executive privilege. Now, the White House has allegedly rejected or ignored written and verbal requests from committee members for months about this, and only recently did they say that they would release these documents and declassify them. This was just a battle, including Senator Dianne Feinstein, Democrat from California, publicly accusing the agency of illegally searching Senate staff members' computers. Feinstein wrote several letters to Catherine Rumler, the president's chief legal advisor, asking her to mediate the dispute between the CIA and the committee. And the committee and the CIA just went back and forth for months over these thousands and thousands of pages of reports. It cost $40 million to put this report together, which is reportedly heavily critical of the agency's interrogation methods at several of these secret facilities around the world, known as black sites to some. And they say that they did not produce valuable intelligence despite relying on so-called enhanced interrogation techniques. If it's enhanced, that's good. Why wouldn't it lead to any good information? I don't know. So now President Obama has changed his mind on this, has promised to declassify the report, saying, I would urge them to go ahead and complete the report, send it to us. We will declassify those findings so that the American people can understand what happened in the past, and that can help guide us as we move forward here. I have to tell you, when I hear the term Senate torture investigation, I can't help but laugh. The entire concept of a Senate torture investigation at this point sounds patently ridiculous.
It really does. And to me, the definition of Senate torture would be C-SPAN. But, this is, it's no surprise that obviously it's in the best interest of the government to just basically shut this whole thing down.
Yeah, no question about it. And also I'm interested in the fact that there's all of a sudden huge outrage within the House and Senate about security agencies maybe spying on them. But of course, on random Americans, well, listen, we have these protocols and we kind of just fell in line when it came to the Patriot Act and to all of this stuff. And it's funny because if I had to bet what statistically, if you search all computer records, all digital electronic records of all technology, for a random member of the House or Senate versus a random American, you would probably turn up more wrongdoing when searching the records of a member of the House and Senate. I understand there's only 635 of them versus hundreds of millions of Americans, but still, the disproportionate outrage over their stuff being searched, when we know they're up to all sorts of sketchy stuff that would be in the public interest to know about, but falling in line for the most part when it comes to the bulk surveillance is just kind of funny to me.
Yeah, I think, of course, you start looking into campaign finance and, taxes and all of that stuff. I'm sure that the majority of these, representatives are bigger criminals than your average American.
Google will start encrypting your searches. And I have very mixed feelings about this, and I'm having a hard time figuring out whether this is actually significant in some way or it's just a PR tactic from Google. Google is making user searches more private as part of their efforts to improve information security as a direct result of the revelations from Edward Snowden, right? So Google has started encrypting the searches of Chinese users in defiance of that country's regulations. In China, Google is only about a 5% market share holder in the search market. And China's Great Firewall, as its censorship system is known, has long intercepted searches for information that it deems to be politically sensitive, right? And this could mean if you search for Dalai Lama or Tiananmen Square or something like that, China will find out that you are searching for this stuff. Now, Google's steps to encrypt search results are following a decision to encrypt all traffic between its data centers after Edward Snowden revealed what the NSA was doing and what was going on. Google spokesperson said, the revelations of this past summer underscored our need to strengthen our networks. Among the many improvements we've made in recent months is to encrypt Google search by default around the world. Google's in an interesting position now where they are the source of much concern for a lot of people in the United States because of all the information they collect. A lot of people say, the ads that show up around my email are related to the subject and the topics and the content of my emails. I really don't like that. I really don't like all of the information that Google has. At the same time, Google is one of the companies in the US that actually has the scale, the money, and the technical capabilities to really protect its users from intrusion into their online activities. And we're seeing a very significant split about whether Google is the good guy with the privacy measures or the bad guy with the privacy measures.
Right. Now you have an interesting decision to make. I mean, do you use Google knowing that they're harvesting your information, knowing that that information is still protected from the NSA, or do you search somewhere else knowing that whatever company you use might not be collecting your information, but the NSA certainly will be looking
Well,
at
here's
it?
the thing. So Google says they're encrypting searches in order to insulate their users from NSA or governmental spying. It's true. Let's see. I could believe that Google is going to encrypt searches, but Google hasn't told us whether or not they've given government agencies the encryption key, which would allow government agencies to decrypt the searches. And if Google did do that, maybe by law, Google is required to do that. The law might also stipulate that Google cannot tell the public that they've provided the encryption algorithm to government agencies. They may be required to provide the encryption algorithm to the government and required not to say anything about it. So when I read this, Lewis, I don't actually think that we know for sure that our searches on Google are not getting into government hands.
No, we don't, but that's what they want us to believe. In reality, there's a good chance that this is just a tactic to get lots of people in China to start using or to keep using or to start using their search engine.
While it seems like a positive thing, does anybody honestly believe that search encryption is going to keep the government out, period? I don't believe that. When I just read that, I don't think that, oh, okay, they're encrypting searches, boom, done, government's out. I just don't buy it whatsoever. The abortion insurance law has taken effect in Michigan. Michigan residents who buy healthcare coverage in the private marketplace now will have to pay extra if they want abortion coverage, even if a pregnancy is the result of rape and incest. I may have said that wrong. If you buy the coverage in the private market, you may not have coverage at all. And if you have an insurance through your employer, then you have to pay a rider for abortion coverage, even in cases of rape and incest. It's estimated to cost about 32 cents per month. This state law, which we discussed back when it was a bill, has gone into effect. It prohibits insurance companies from covering abortion services unless customers purchase separate add-ons called riders to their insurance plans ahead of time. The insurers had to tell the state last month whether they were going to be offering and selling these abortion riders. 7 companies will be doing this as part of employer-based plans, according to department spokesman Caleb Buse. That means that if you purchase an individual insurance plan, either outside of the employer-connected insurance system or outside of the federal healthcare exchange, you simply will not be able to have insurance coverage for abortion services. The Abortion Insurance Opt-out Act was passed in December by the Republican-controlled legislature of Michigan. Proponents say that this protects those who object to their premiums going to fund abortion services. Opponents say this is an obvious threat to women's health. It limits access to a procedure that, as we've discussed on this program, is both legal and constitutionally protected. Democrats have labeled it the rape insurance bill because it would basically force women to buy abortion coverage ahead of time in case they are ever raped. You essentially need to have rape insurance if you, at any point, for whatever reason, might want to pursue abortion services. This is so ridiculous, Lewis. Imagine that I say, you know what? I don't smoke. I think smoking is morally wrong. And I don't want my premiums paying for people who smoke cigarettes and need lung transplants, long-term care for emphysema, other related conditions. I object to that. Would that ever fly?
No, not today. Not today. It wouldn't.
And if you say it's for religious purposes and there's no religious point of view against smoking cigarettes, then this is even more bogus because this is specifically related to religious objections over abortion procedures. And the counter argument here from the other side might be, well, hold on a second, David. Abortion is optional, not medically necessary. Hold on a second. Smoking, which causes all of these medical conditions, is also an optional thing that people are choosing to do. What if vasectomies go against religious beliefs, right? Because you believe God doesn't want you doing anything which would limit your ability to conceive a child. If you ever might want a vasectomy, now you need to have a vasectomy rider. This is absolutely ridiculous, and it is an example of religion invading what should be a non-religious legal and medical system.
Right. It's incredible when you think about it, what they have to come up with and what they have to do to obstruct what is happening here. I mean, forcing people to add an extra 30 cents a month to their plan.
Just to make the people who object to abortions feel better that they're not funding. And this is so ridiculous because those people are paying into so many other pools, risk pools, where there's no question that stuff they don't like is being funded by their payments.
Right. It's just obstructionism. It's just how difficult can we make things for these people because that's what we want to do.
All right, McDonald's workers are suing for wage theft. We've talked for years about how McDonald's doesn't pay their employees a fair wage, how McDonald's profits are heavily subsidized by the disproportionately huge dollars of federal benefits that go to McDonald's employees because they're paid so poorly. And now CNN is reporting that McDonald's workers have filed 7 class action lawsuits in New York, California, Michigan, and I believe maybe one other state. The suits allege that McDonald's has forced employees to work off the clock, not paid them overtime, and removed hours from their time cards. According to Michael Rubin of the law firm representing California workers, we've uncovered several unlawful schemes, but they all share a common purpose: to drive labor costs down by stealing wages from McDonald's employees. Workers in California claim that McDonald's and its franchises did not pay them for all of the hours they worked and didn't give them timely breaks. The employees in Michigan, listen to this, the employees in Michigan allege that they would start getting paid only when customers walked into the store, even if they showed up to work hours earlier. Can you imagine this insanity? The claims, of course, violate the Federal Labor Standards Act, which sets minimum wage, overtime pay, record-keeping rules, etc. This is not a new thing. Actually, the wage theft issue at fast food chains has been a long-standing one. Last year, the New York State Attorney General said he was investigating if fast food restaurant owners were cheating workers out of their wages. And McDonald's just seems to be constantly under fire. They set up this McResource helpline, remember this, for their workers, which helped employees figure out how to get federal benefits that they only qualify for because their McDonald's wages are so low. The fast food chain has since taken that McResource website down. This is one of the richest companies, nickel and diming workers who already don't make enough. I guess it's actually only logical. You become one of the richest, biggest, most profitable companies by paying employees as little as possible. This shouldn't really surprise anybody.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if every single one of these lawsuits is successful, and McDonald's is ordered to pay $10 billion, it's not going to make a dent, and this is just going to continue forever.
Yeah, this is, well, $10 billion actually could make a difference, but I know the point that you're making, Lewis. They could make it all back. They could make it back pretty quickly.
David, $5 billion in profits last year, it's a juggernaut. It's unstoppable.
So we are going to follow the results of these class action lawsuits. If you look at the comments online for these stories, a lot of right-wingers will say, well, then they should just get a better job. It's ridiculous to say that if the job you have pays X amount, that you're not entitled to just basic protections where you get paid for the time you work. That's just a fundamental thing. And saying, hey, they should just get better jobs then, that's an argument that's never made any sense, and it continues not to make sense. Let's take a break. We've got so much planned for you today, including I have received a recent string of telemarketer calls. We have some audio from one. I think you're going to like this.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com. Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
The David Pakman Show membership program is made possible in part by liberalbias.com. Did you know that study after study after study has shown that increasing taxes on the rich does not kill jobs? Really, really weird. Obviously, the only possible conclusion is that the word study itself has a liberal bias. Go to liberalbias.com to find out more. Today's member of the day is Colleen Gardner. Colleen, thank you for being a David Pakman Show member. You can join Colleen for the next few days at davidpakman.com/reddit, REDDIT. And with your yearly membership, we will send you a free David Pakman Show t-shirt made from 100% recycled materials. You should know that David Pakman Show membership comes with any number of great benefits, including access to the bonus show, hosted and produced by producer Lewis. There's a whole extra show after the regular show, hosted by Lewis, where I am the sidekick. You also get your own commercial-free podcast feed that you can put in your mobile phone or on your computer, and access to the full archive of programming dating all the way back to 2005. Go to davidpakman.com/reddit or davidpakman.com/membership. Amazon items, as you know, you can support the David Pakman Show by doing your Amazon shopping after clicking the Amazon link on our website, davidpakman.com. When you click on it and do your shopping, we get a cut of your purchases, and it really helps us out. Some interesting items. A lot of people buying the Newsroom episodes. I still have not seen a single episode of the Newsroom. So many people recommend it to me. Some just because they like it, some because we do a show, and I still have not seen, I think maybe I've seen 30 seconds of a preview, Lewis.
You know what? I've never even heard of it.
There you go. Lewis deciding to up the ante even further. He's never even heard of the Newsroom. A lot of video game strategy guides. I remember as a kid, Lewis, always wanting the strategy guides with the cheat codes, and because I knew I really needed it to figure out how to play the game and how to get further in the game. I honestly thought everything was online now. I was surprised to see anybody buying those.
Yeah, it's been ages since I've seen one of these. I can only think of a few types of games they would even really be helpful for, to me anyway.
And also a lot of Mad Men DVDs from seasons 1 to 4, 5, etc. I love the show Mad Men. I started watching it, and I watched a full season, and I didn't really like it, but I kept going because people told me you will eventually like it. And by the beginning of the second season, I was totally into it, and I've watched the whole series since. Really, really good show.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I've only seen the first season, though.
All right. Well, there you go. Lewis, very, very picky when it comes to media consumption. Also, I got a message from a friend saying they saw someone driving around in Newton, Massachusetts in an SUV with a David Pakman Show bumper sticker. I don't know who it might be, but you have been spotted. That's for sure. Just putting you on notice. Here's a story about Amazon. Amazon has this service called Amazon Prime, which for 9 years costs $79 a year. Amazon Prime is kind of like a membership service where you get free 2-day shipping on anything you buy, regardless of how much stuff you order. Normally, to get any kind of free shipping with Amazon, you need to spend at least $35. And you also get access to some streaming video and movies. And there are a few other benefits. There is also a discounted student Prime rate of $39. Amazon has announced that starting next month, there will be an increase in the cost of Prime from $79 to $99 for the year, or from $39 to $49 for the year for student Prime accounts. I think that this is very interesting because we could have the conversation, and we have had the conversation, about whether Amazon is destroying small businesses. Certainly some small businesses it is destroying. Whether overall it's positive or negative. But I'm just very, very interested in services that are going in the direction of right now delivery, right? Amazon is also starting to set up kind of like deposits of items in major metropolitan areas. So you can even get delivery with a few hours of certain things, predicting what stuff people are going to order. Here in New York City, we have a service called Seamless, which is seamless.com, where local restaurants have their menus online, and you go online under the premise that people really hate calling for takeout or delivery. You check off the items you want, you include the tip for the delivery driver, or say you're going to pick the food up, and then 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes later, someone shows up at your door, hands you your food, they've already been tipped, everything's already been paid for, and it's an incredibly popular service. Amazon jokingly, according to some, it's not a real upcoming thing, had this thing about drone delivery when they were featured on 60 Minutes. When we think about this, it's such a drastically different effect depending on where you live. And my experience with it has been, when we were in Western Massachusetts, Lewis, things were just very convenient. You had grocery stores and electronic stores nearby, and it was easy to get there, park, get your stuff, and come back. There weren't long lines. It was kind of like an intermediate situation. However, here in New York City, if you go to Trader Joe's at the wrong time of day, you've got a line that wraps around the store and could take you 45 minutes to get through. If you want to drive because you're going to have a lot of grocery bags, most grocery stores don't even have parking lots. At the same time, if you live in very rural areas, if you just need to go get soap, shaving cream, and paper towels, it might be a very long drive consuming significant amounts of fossil fuels. For people in those rural areas, services like Amazon Prime, I get emails from people who use our Amazon link for purchases. They say Amazon Prime is so worth it, whether it's 80 or $100, because I don't want to waste 20, 30, 40 miles round trip on gas 3 times a week when I need to run out and get something. If it's not urgent, I throw it on an Amazon order, and in 2 days, it's at my front door.
Yeah, it does seem very convenient. I mean, I don't order a lot of stuff on Amazon. I happen to live right now in one of those ultra convenient locations where I never really need to leave a 3-mile radius if I don't have to.
Right.
But Amazon does have a lot of stuff that you might not be able to find anywhere else, and the prices are pretty good. So, I mean, do I think this is an outrageous increase? No, I don't think so.
Well, if we look at the inflation of over the last 9 years, it actually makes sense that it would cost about $100 now if it did cost $80 9 years ago. I'm curious to hear from people. What are your experiences with services like Amazon Prime, Seamless if you live in New York City, other services? Do you find these to be really convenient, or do you see them more as ways to try to capture market share by preying on people's laziness, I guess is the way I would say it? Super free market advocate Chris Christie is blocking Tesla sales in New Jersey. Like a lot of Republicans, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie likes to talk about how the government should get out of the way of businesses, get out of the way of the free market. And in a speech last week, he actually railed against President Obama because of his economic interventions, saying, we don't have an income inequality problem. We have an opportunity problem in this country because the government's trying to control the free market, arguing that he and his fellow Republicans need to reduce the amount of government intervention. Then Chris Christie comes back to New Jersey and signs off on government regulations that block Tesla from selling cars in the state. The rule change prohibits automakers like Tesla from selling directly to consumers, as Tesla does. Instead, it requires them to go through these franchised third-party dealerships like their traditional car companies. Honda has franchised dealerships that are independently owned where their cars are sold. In other words, it requires the middleman to get a cut, regardless of whether that's an arrangement that the free market would dictate as the most convenient and best for consumers. The Christie administration made this move unilaterally through the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission, and it was, of course, urged on by lobbyists. Car dealers have a lot of political and financial sway in New Jersey. The New Jersey Coalition of Auto Retailers spent over $150,000 on lobbying last year. Chris Christie received about $65,000 in contributions from people associated with the auto industry. For anybody who says, if you're still in that blind group of people who thinks political contributions don't affect legislation, just take a look at this. And there are a few other states trying to push the same legislation. Tesla isn't thrilled. They're saying, of course, that this is an attempt to keep this special interest group monopoly, the car dealer franchise owners, in power in New Jersey, and I tend to agree. So here's the deal. First of all, these tend to get defeated in states when they're passed, so hopefully that will happen. Tesla could actually get around this by creating an independent company called United Tesla Dealers of America and franchising out to them, right? So there is actually a solution where they could get around this. But of course, you're creating yet another layer of bureaucracy. It would only hurt consumers by increasing prices.
It would, and it would hurt the company. I hope that the people of New Jersey, if this sticks, can just find some type of loophole where they can end up with these cars just having bought them through a different state or something of that nature. And I'm sure they will.
The entire concept of dealerships I find to be completely superfluous and unnecessary. I've leased many cars. I've purchased different cars. I've never had an experience where the presence of the dealership establishment made the process better, more enjoyable, or in any way more efficient. It's always been an impediment to me just getting the car that I want.
Yeah, it's always a total pain and an unpleasant experience. There's no question about that.
Let's take a break. Next, we will talk about a measles outbreak in New York City and in a few other areas of the world. And who is to blame? Well, it seems, according at least to one pediatrician, that anti-vaccine parents are to blame. That's next.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com. Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
There's an interesting article written by pediatrician Russell Sanders on the Daily Beast about measles. Measles, which was considered completely eliminated at the turn of the millennium, which now is back. And according to Dr. Sanders, it is because of parents who are refusing to vaccinate their children. There is currently an outbreak of measles here in New York City. It was considered eliminated in the U.S. in 2000. Last year, there were a record number of outbreaks around the country. We are only 3 months into 2014, and not only is the nation's largest city of New York seeing cases in several boroughs, other metropolitan areas are also talking about new cases. Measles is a highly contagious illness caused by a virus, usually presents with a combination of rash, fevers, cough, runny nose, etc., as well as characteristic spots in the mouth. Most patients do recover after a very unpleasant but relatively uneventful period of sickness, but 1 in every 1,000 patients develops an inflammation of the brain, and 1 to 3 out of every 1,000 cases ultimately die. And reports from New York City are noting that several people have been hospitalized, and infected patients include infants too young to be vaccinated themselves. Because the American public really hasn't had to worry much about measles in a long time, most people probably don't even know that measles can kill or leave kids permanently disabled. And over a dozen people around LA have already been diagnosed with measles this year, half of them intentionally unvaccinated. As the doctor says, there is no legitimate scientific controversy about whether or not vaccines are safe. As we covered on the program, the MMR vaccine controversy, which was originally put out there by Dr. Andrew Wakefield, has been completely retracted, and he has been determined to have a financial conflict of interest when it comes to pushing against the MMR vaccine. And we hear from the vaccine deniers that, hey, why do you care? As long as you vaccinate, it doesn't matter if I choose not to vaccinate my kid. And as we see, that's not true, because you have this issue of herd immunity. And when you have kids that are too young to be vaccinated yet, the more unvaccinated people around them that there are, the worse it is. And you have elderly people that are immunosuppressed, and others who also can't be vaccinated. And having people who could be vaccinated choose not to vaccinate is just increasing the danger. Today, I got a message from someone on Twitter saying they're so glad that there's an NFL player who's coming out against vaccines or something. I thought it was a parody. I mean, there is no legitimate scientific controversy around this. And every time I say it, I get 2 to 3 emails from people saying, David, you're wrong, you're going too far, and XYZ about vaccines, and it's all a government scam, blah, 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 blah. It's horrible what we're seeing. Whooping cough in California, we've also seen.
Yeah, yeah. The medical community is in almost complete agreement on this, and it really is incredible how prevalent the anti-vaccine mentality is. And I think you're going to get a lot more than 2 or 3 emails this time, David.
Yeah, maybe I will, but whatever, you know. I mean, if your big gripe with me is that I don't think vaccines are a evil government or otherwise scam to control the population or whatever it is that Alex Jones or whoever would say, if that's the reason you're tuning out of this program, I don't know that we were going to be in it for the long haul with you anyway. I mean, I can't help but think that. Homophobic southern states seem to watch the most gay porn in America. We talked about this was it Uganda or what country was it, Lewis, in Africa that had the most gay porn searches?
I believe it was Uganda.
Right. And we said, well, I don't think that there are more gay people in Uganda. What there is more homophobia, and that pushes people who could, in other circumstances, have open and healthy gay relationships. It pushes them instead to the internet to look at porn. And the same dynamic seems to happen in the United States. According to new findings, there is more gay porn viewing in states where same-sex marriage is illegal, particularly in the South. Now, according to Pornhub and BuzzFeed, who teamed up to release these results, the highest number of gay porn searches come out of Mississippi, Louisiana, and Georgia, as well as Florida, Alabama, and New Mexico. Every southern state had more gay porn searches than the average in states where same-sex marriage is legal. In general, states with gay marriage bans watch 7% more gay porn than states where marriage is legal. This is kind of just obvious, right? Curiosity and repressed sexual urges that you're told, either for moral, religious, or other reasons, are evil, are going to push people out of the real world scene and onto the internet. And we've seen this all around the world now, Lewis, even doing a micro-analysis within the United States.
Yeah, this is just seems to be the case everywhere. I mean, it's pretty simple now, and I'm glad that these companies are, I guess, kind of keeping track of this. I think it's good to know.
It's also very interesting that if you look at the hate mail we receive, we get so much that has either explicit or implicit gay sex references, reference to homosexuality, references to Lewis being in a relationship with me, references to me being gay, other liberals being gay, graphic descriptions of gay sex acts, gay sex toys, all in the criticism of this program, even when the subject at hand has absolutely nothing to do with sexuality at all, never mind homosexuality. And it's yet another one of these, it's one of the mysteries of the world, Lewis, I guess, even though it seems kind of obvious to me. When that is so heavily repressed, you either turn it into insults, you turn it into bullying, you simply go online and look at gay porn. The dots seem easily connectable.
They do. It's amazing what some of these trolls are doing, and it's more a mystery of the internet than the world, really, because the internet has really opened the door for this type of behavior.
They've widened the internet tube so much that this type of stuff is just flowing through, with absolutely no resistance.
You could pretty much drive a bus through the tubes at this point.
Yeah. A bus full of gay porn, apparently. Let's take a break. Next, some excerpts from a recent telemarketer phone call I had. Stay with us.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com. The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
The South Carolina deputy who shot a 70-year-old man during a traffic stop after mistaking his cane for a shotgun during a traffic stop broke down in tears as other officers arrived, according to dashcam video that has been released. York County Deputy Terrence Knox is on administrative leave as state agents are investigating the shooting that took place of Bobby Kniep of North Carolina. We now have video, and I'll show you some of the video. Kniep quickly pulls over on the 4-lane highway near Clover outside of Charlotte after Knox puts on the sirens and the blue lights. Officials say that Knox, who's a 3-year veteran of the department, pulled over the pickup truck because of expired license plates. And Kniep gets out of the pickup, turns towards the bed of his pickup truck without acknowledging the police officer. The officer starts yelling, "Sir," and then takes Mr. Kniep takes out a cane. And at that point, the officer shoots him and realizes it was only a cane, runs over, and immediately calls for emergency medical services. Let's look at a little bit of the dash cam video here.
Most fellas gonna be the apartment. Trailer park. Hey, sir. 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 Oh. Hey, hey, hey! Shots fired! Shots fired! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Oh, County, let me get you email. You okay? You okay? Yeah. Where you at? I'm gonna get some walking in here. Oh, it hurts. Johnny, give me an email. Call him one. It's trying to stomach. Who was shooting? Stay right there. Who was shooting? No, sir. You put me. I was getting Can I'm so sorry. Stay still. Stay still. I'll be all right. No, you're right. Oh, Lord, please. Please, Lord, help us. Please, what am I going to do, Bob? Okay.
So Knox was shouting expletives as he ran to check on Kniep, who was hit once. He is expected to recover. The thing about this is it's obvious that in this case that the officer really did think, listen, this guy gets right out of his truck as soon as we pull over. He grabs something out of the bed and points it at me. It is dark. I shoot. I immediately realize it's not a gun. I feel bad. I reportedly cry and I call for help. There probably will be a lawsuit here. It's unclear whether it will go for or against the plaintiff in this case. And Officer Knox said to the other officers who showed up, "I promise to God I thought it was a shotgun." I'd never understand why, when you get pulled over, you should just stay in the car. In other words, the first thing to do when you're pulled over, which I always do, is to do absolutely nothing and to make it clear you're not a threat. I don't know, this is a 70-year-old guy. There was no real reason to immediately get out of the vehicle. Then he was non-responsive. All of a sudden, he's grabbing something. It's a horrible situation, but just stay in the vehicle, right?
Of course, yeah. Stay in your vehicle and keep your hands on the wheel. That's the number one thing to do. I can see watching the video why the officer thought that this guy was pulling some type of gun with a long barrel out of his car. That is what it looked like. But still, like we talked about earlier, there's this mentality that everyone's got a gun, everyone's out to get you, and that's not helping the situation.
No question about it. So the micro-analysis is that the police officer clearly was not going out there trying to just shoot people he pulls over. This was not a logical decision to get out of the police car. But if we take a broader perspective, the fact that so many people have guns has created a climate where police officers are far quicker to assume that what someone has is a gun. There's no question that a similar situation in other countries does not lead to shots being fired by the police officer this quickly, because there would be less of a context in which the officer would assume that there is a gun in someone's truck bed.
Yeah, but you know what? We're in too deep. This is how it is now, and you just have to be very careful when you get pulled over. Don't do anything. Keep your hands on the wheel and just play it cool.
I don't know why, but lately I've been getting constant phone calls on my cell phone, both telemarketing calls as well as just personal calls from people looking for someone. So First, it started with one phone call from a Massachusetts area code, which I always pick up. I assume it's someone from home. And they're looking for Telly. Telly is who they're looking for. I say, no, this isn't Telly. Okay. A few minutes later, different phone number, also from Massachusetts. Yeah, who's this? And I say, who's this? Who are you looking for? We're looking for Telly. No Telly. 10 or 12 of these calls over the last 10 days were finally now, when they call me, I say, who is Telly? Like, is this a personal call? Is this a business call? Somehow, everybody's calling my phone looking for Telly. You'll remember, Lewis, about 8-10 years ago, I kept getting calls from also a Massachusetts number. They're always looking for Poppy.
Right. I do remember that.
Yeah, so that's not going on anymore, but now everybody's looking for Telly. And then I started getting calls from one of these fraudulent pharmacies that says they'll give you meds without prescriptions, sometimes offering Xanax, sometimes offering erectile dysfunction pills. And I got a call yesterday, and I told them, call me tomorrow, I can talk, I'm very interested, knowing I'd be at the studio, and I was able to record it. It went on for 12 minutes. I'm just going to play a few of the highlights for you. Check this out. So, just out of curiosity, how did you get my number?
Well, sir, we got your number from our data sourcing team, or you might have visited any online store.
So let me ask you this, and you said your name was Bill, right?
Right.
Okay, good. I like that. Very, very American sounding. You sound like you're from Kentucky or something. So let me ask you this, Bill, or William, I don't know which you go by. Have you ever tried any of these drugs? Because I don't have experience with them. What do they do?
Well, sir, this drug are especially used by the people who are above the age of 40. At that age, people doesn't get a good erection.
Oh, okay. If it's possible,
Yes,
I just want to ask you.
Let me also tell you that this drug are also consumed by porn stars. Okay.
Porn stars. Okay.
Okay.
But Bill, let me ask you a question. This all sounds incredible. I mean, it just sounds fantastic. But Bill,
that's what happened. You know, we also have something like party pills. So what happened when you go to a party? You don't get good erection in a very short time.
I know at parties it is tough to get really good erections. Yeah.
Erection in like 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Though maybe we'll when we get back, Lewis, from our little upcoming break now, we'll turn this into like a full phone call, the way we used to do with the telemarketing calls. It was just amazing. Eventually, the guy just got tired and said, okay, sir, I'm going to leave you alone now. He decided to end the call because he was so annoyed with me.
Imagine that, David. It's like people, turning off the YouTube internet channels on the internets because they're so sick of your blabbering.
Yeah, I wish I had come up with some better stuff to say to the guy, Bill, supposedly, which is, of course, completely ridiculous. And I also like how they say they're just calling from the American pharmacy. Like, yeah, the American, that's normal. That's how we refer to pharmacies here. Just the American pharmacy? Sure, send me your Indian Viagra pills. That sounds fantastic. So that's what's going on, just constant phone calls to the point where I'm having to silence my phone at night, something that I never really used to do because there might actually be a real phone call I need to take.
David, next time you're at a party, you might wish you hit Bill up for some of those pills.
Yeah, party pills. Wouldn't party pills be the same thing as Viagra or Cialis? What was he talking about?
I really have no idea. Only Bill really knows what's up with that.
Let's go to your voicemails. Today we have a voicemail on our voicemail number, which is, of course, 219-2-DAVID-P, from the Eggman. The Eggman commenting on Gordon, commenting on Heather. The Eggman getting in on the action. Let's take a listen.
Hi, I have a message for Heather in Seattle, who thinks that Gordon in Eugene, the gay racist, represents everybody in Eugene. Heather, when you say you're going to skip Eugene when you're traveling down the I-5 because you think Gordon, the gay racist, lives there, you're assuming that all people in Eugene are gay racists. The same way Gordon assumes that all people who speak Spanish are illegal aliens. So, whereas I agree with you that he is a gay racist, I do love him for his opinions, and I do not judge everybody in Eugene for Gordon's opinion. Heather, you sound really sexy when you drop the F-bomb. Damn, I'm not the only guy who thinks that. Shalom.
Eggman is all worked up, Lewis, over this rivalry that apparently is starting to develop. We should do like some kind of frequent caller roundtable where we have the Eggman and Gordon and Heather and San Antonio Troll. And, I'm not leaving anybody out. I'm just not listing everybody. Weigh in on the issues of the day. I don't know that, I've moderated debates like between the incredibly anti-gay former Navy chaplain Gordon Klingenschmidt and people from the God Hates Fags Westboro Baptist Church. I think that moderating the frequent caller roundtable would be way more difficult than moderating some of these debates.
I think it would be impossible, David. I think the universe may implode on itself if this were to happen. But I'm still interested in it.
All right, on today's bonus show, we will talk about things getting so bad in North Dakota that even the strippers are leaving. A pastor says that women need to remove their undergarments so that they are able to fully and completely accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior. And also a man suing McDonald's for $1.5 million because they only gave him one napkin. No, we will not talk about that today. Lewis, what is the third story today?
The third story is going to be the newest fatwa against all-you-can-eat buffets.
Okay, even better. DavidPakman.com/membership and also DavidPakman.com/Reddit, REDDIT. Get yourself a free t-shirt with that membership. Be a supporter of alternatives to corporate media.
The David Pakman Show at DavidPakman.com.